So if you watch my last video, you'll note that I switched everything over to Apple, and that includes my computing devices. This right here is the 5th generation of the Microsoft Surface, but I've been using Windows forever. In fact, the first operating system that I remember using was Windows 95.
This is Jennifer Aniston. I'm Matthew Perry. We're here to see Mr. Bill Gates about a possible starring role in the video guide to Microsoft Windows 95.
So rather than simply giving you a typical MacBook Pro review, you can find those anywhere. This is going to be a follow-up to my previous video where I switched from PC to Mac. Now, as far as my computing experience goes, this computer sitting right in front of me is a 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro outfitted with a Core i7, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 256 gigabytes of storage. And to be completely honest, one of the biggest things that I was concerned about was switching operating systems. But honestly, that issue was put to rest very quickly. The way that the software works in unison with the hardware, it's beautiful. And we'll get into more of that later, but we're going to start with the issues. And the actual issue, the first issue, was kind of puzzling. The lack of ports. Now, I understand Apple's desire to future-proof their devices, but we just aren't there yet with USB-C. And along with that, some of the ports that were removed simply don't make sense, like for instance, an Ethernet port. Now I understand achieving this form factor might have been difficult. It is, after all, a beautiful machine, but it is still a workstation, and not having an Ethernet port, or better yet, having to carry around a dongle with you wherever you go, can be a huge turnoff to a lot of people. Oh, I hate the word dongle. So understandably, if that's a deal breaker for you, steer clear of this machine. But if it's not, all negatives aside, this is an amazing machine. From the massive touchpad with all the gestures you can use to even the touch bar I enjoyed. But if you know anything about me, you know that I love audio. So the first thing I want to touch on is the speakers. Now, I can honestly say that these are the best sounding speakers I've ever heard in a clamshell laptop. And since there's no real way to translate that through video, I figured I'd just bless your ears, you know? But from my experience, they can easily fill a room. Now, the next thing that I wanted to touch on was user experience. And you can imagine switching over entirely to the Apple ecosystem, there are so many features that make this machine easy to use, whether it's the massive trackpad with gestures, or whether it's the touch bar with Touch ID or Siri, or oh, how could I forget AirDrop? There are so many things that make this computer a delight to use. Now, as a creative professional, I was a little bit hesitant about switching over to Final Cut Pro 10, but it's been excellent. I haven't had any issues yet, and the performance of this computer specifically has been phenomenal. Now, that, of course, doesn't speak for all Mac devices or all Windows devices, but my experience with the 2018 MacBook Pro has been a positive one. So here are my final thoughts. If you are someone looking for a day-to-day workstation and you don't want to have to worry about upgrading for quite a while, this is a great way to go. I would even suggest maybe getting the 13-inch model. They're both really solid machines. The best part about the 15-inch though is that even the base model comes with a 6-core processor. So you're not gonna have to worry about performance. You're not gonna have to worry about upgrading, again, for quite a while with this one if you're doing simple day-to-day tasks. Now, if you're a creative professional, then I would definitely opt for the bigger screen, the 15-inch model, again, for the additional cores that you get, and the performance that I've received out of it has been wonderful. So I don't see myself switching back anytime soon, and in fact, I plan on keeping you guys updated with how I feel about this. So if you are interested in that, then definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you know when that video comes out. And as always, it's been Dop. Thanks for watching.